So in the past 1 week, we've all witnessed unprecedented levels of destruction across the nation, which was triggered by the shootings of the peaceful protesters at Lekki, amongst other things. As a nation, we are now caught up with the responsibility of restoring peace and order to the country after the loss of lives and properties. Today on the show, we will be looking at the roles of accountability and transparency of the leaders in the whole saga. What would have been the shape of events if we had the accountability for the givings and misgivings in the administration of public affairs? To discuss this topic with me is Femi Lawson, the Executive Director of Center for Public Accountability. Welcome, Femi. It is good to have you on our phone lines. I know you're on your way to the studio and you're caught up in traffic. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
It's a pleasure.
All right. So first thing first, how are you doing? I know you're in traffic, like I said earlier, but how have you been keeping safe or staying safe?
Well, we've been keeping safe, and you also understand that just about 24 hours ago, the government of Lagos State announced the reopening of markets, in full capacity, and other economic activities that are beginning to take off aftermath of last week's events that led to closure of several economic activities in the state. I think that must have been responsible for the very heavy traffic that we are witnessing in Lagos today. But, and also, coupled with the fact that security agencies, particularly the police, are not yet back on our streets. And this is already taking its toll, on the traffic situation in Lagos and some other places. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that submission. So, can you kindly introduce yourself to our audience beyond the brief mentioning that I did earlier? Our audience would love to know you better aside that introduction. Who is Femi Lawson and what does Center for Public Accountability stand for?
Well, Femi Lawson, like you rightly introduced, I have the privilege of being the executive director of the Center for Public Accountability.
Yes.
Center for Public Accountability is a non-governmental organization established about 13 years ago, and our main focus has been to serve as watchdogs, not only to the people in public services anyway, but even people in the private sector and the society at large. We have worked with several local and international organizations on various accountability and development projects.
Okay.
So our focus has always been on good governance, environmental issues, and of course, human rights, because there is no society that can be built, and no democracy that can actually be built without adherence to rule of law and human rights. So we've been doing a lot of work in this regard, and that is why Center for Public Accountability exists. And we have our offices in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt.
All right. So, what's the difference between your organization, CPA, and EFCC? We have SERP, ICPC. I hope I'm correct. Because I understand that all of this organization is more or less like accountability, so to speak. So, I don't know what's the difference for people listening, so that they can.
We, like I said, we are a non-governmental organization, but we have been privileged to have active partnership and relationship with these organizations, like you have mentioned. I, as a person, am an ambassador for the Economic and Financial Times Commission, EFCC.
Okay.
Based on the relationship that we have created several advocacies on corruption for the EFCC. We have also worked with organizations like CFCC, ICPC, and even the police to ensure that, of course, issues of corruption are fairly addressed. We have organized series of events in the past to address corruption, because corruption is not just about what exists in the public sector or the private sector. Even on the individual citizenship level, we have had a situation whereby corruption has become too endemic, and we have to engage not only these organizations, but other organizations, including religious organizations, to ensure that we continue to spread the message of how cancerous corruption has become in our society, and we've enjoyed a very, very good working relationship with these organizations.
All right, many thanks, Olufemi. Listening to you and you sharing your mandate and the framework of your organization, CPA, with me, I know that the people need to know how, or you've shared also the core function of the legal and the justice system of how your organization works with the country. So my question is, do you persecute? Do you bring people to book, or do you transfer cases to appropriate justice system?
Yeah, that's what we do. What we do as a non-governmental organization, in most cases, is to expose corruption.
Okay.
One of the problems that our anti-corruption efforts in the country today has often faced is the culture of silence. You are in an office and the corruption is being perpetrated. You are in a community, corruption is being perpetrated, and you choose to be silent because you think it's my cousin, it's my uncle, or what's my own business. In our office, we have taken it upon ourselves as an organization to expose corruption, not only by merely going to the media to speak about it. We have also been responsible, for raising petitions in so many instances, and we have also been responsible for approaching the court, especially particularly using the instrumentality of the freedom of information, to speak, and demand for accountability and to ask questions. And this has yielded a lot of positive results, because I can say today that a lot of petitions that we raise as an organization and a lot of alarm that we have been able to raise concerning corruption in some public institutions are now being prosecuted by the EFCC. So that's one major area that we have worked in exposing corruption, in engaging in series of advocacy that is not only exposing corruption, that also speak against it and prevent people from perpetrating corruption.
Okay. So, Mr. Lawson, the ongoing NSAS demonstration is a legal and justifiable protest under the law, and I believe Constitution of Nigeria, for seeking accountability. So what is your perspective to the old narrative as it is playing out since it started?
Well, can you come again?
Yeah. So my question to you now is going straight to the business of the day, which is about NSAS. And I asked that the ongoing NSAS demonstration is a legal and justifiable protest under the law and Constitution of Nigeria for seeking accountability or transparency from our government. So my question now is, what is your perspective to the old narrative as it is playing out since it started 3 weeks ago?
Well, even though the NSAS, protest, which eventually became, a nationwide issue, but ordinarily seen as an advocacy, to against the arbitrary conduct of men of the special service force of the Nigerian police. But you must agree with me that at the point it graduated, to an issue that was focused on good governance, that was focused on other issues around governance in Nigeria. A lot of times, our people, especially during the period where, not oblivious of the fact that advocate graduated from a mere demand for an end to police brutality in our country to a demand for good governance, to a demand for all sorts of, questions that are risen daily in our country. And that's why in the peak, at the peak of the protest, you find citizens demanding for issues that, of course, transcend the agitation for an end to police brutality. It was a justifiable cause. It was a popular cause that was not only popular among Nigerians, but became so popular globally. And you could understand, of course, the level of support this generated, not only in Nigeria, but across the globe. And it is still an issue that our country is still battling with, which, of course, we must address, whether we like it or not.
All right. So that's why we have you here to address a lot of things for us. So quickly, let me open our phone lines. Please join us by calling the phone line 0700 923 923 923. Again, 0700 923 923 923. And of course, you can send us a message on 0817-313-6193. Let's hear your perspective. If you have questions for our guests, please go ahead and hit us with your queries and comments or suggestions. I think we have a message from Ayobami Okonlawo. This is one of our loyal fans. He said, "Good evening, Real Talk with Kike. The Lekki Massacre is one sad incident that can hardly be forgotten. It is even more worrisome to see the Nigerian army and the Lagos state government trying to cover it up while shifting blames on who was responsible for the deadly act. As citizens, how do we ensure that the Lekki Massacre incident is not swept under the carpet and justice is served?" That's for you.
Well, the only way we can ensure that is by sustaining the advocacy. It must not end at the barricade. It must not end, at the protest ground. We must continue to demand for good governance. We must continue to demand action for people who are in position. We must continue to demand, that an end actually comes to police brutality. Not merely by, proclamation like we have experienced, from the police authority and other authorities, but also ensuring that on other issues and questions of Nigerians, we continue to demand accountability on a daily basis.
All right. So I believe it should be in the studio by now. So my next question, we lost that. So Stanley, with what I need your opinion right now with everything going on across the world, across the globe. Of course, we know that the US presently, the election is ongoing. I've been following it closely.
Yeah.
I actually thought that I might be tilting towards Donald Trump because I felt that it was going to change the system to turn the system into a Christian country. You understand what I'm saying? But one of my favorite bros he's been wonderful to me. His name is Pastor Gandhi.
Yeah.
So he educated me and said that that's all propaganda. That is not Trump, but we have to just vote for Joe. What's your opinion with that?
I still say
everything going on across.
Yeah, I still say it's God's own country. That's what they call America, God's own country. So I believe they still have God in that country. Now, when they talk about the Trump and American people, let me put it that way, people still want to vote for Trump because I saw somewhere maybe they just believe that they've not given him that fair chance to show what he can do and how he can move America forward. Now, I was reading the other day about what happened during when they went to cast their vote. Trump supporter brought out a weapon that people should stop badmouthing Trump. No, you can still tell that people still like Trump in America. Yes, they still like him in America. No, it's true. They still like Trump in a way, and also people also crucify him because of the way he reacted during the COVID-19. During the COVID-19, when it first came out, COVID-19 in America. So they said most past presidents said that he didn't really handle the situation well. That's why we have so much deaths in America. People also complaining that his policies concerning health is also not right for the people. So people criticize him. People definitely criticize him.
So moving away from policies, I just feel that America doesn't really have loads of options because when I look at Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden. I just feel that he served the American citizen for 47 years.
Yeah.
What has he got to offer right now that he hasn't done before? I also have a good friend of mine. His name is Dokun. And he was saying that he too is also a big fan of Trump. Actually, yeah. I think both of them actually. But it's unfortunate that you have people like that who still feels that that people like Trump should leave.
Yeah.
But the question for me is that I wish that there were other people that was representing the
United States of America.
Yes,
want to represent or want to be president.
Exactly.
No, well, the America is different, from what we see here. It's until you're there you actually know what is going on. I talked to my uncle over there. He said, "Look, don't believe everything you read and everything you see. Sometimes when you come to America and you feel the pulse of the people, you know why people support Trump, as it were. You know why people are against him. But less for you to pick a side. If you think his policies are working well for you, go ahead. Some people say his policies just support white America. Some people say that's why they."
Well, for me, I just feel that if one of the good things I like about Trump's policy is the fact that he doesn't want gay, he doesn't want lesbianism, he doesn't want any of that. Do you understand? And the other person actually supports all those things.
Well, the American people love just express yourself. They love freedom. They don't want to be caged. They all
love freedom.
We all do. So it's like a free world out there. So don't try
fundamental human rights.
Exactly. So that's where they are right now. So if they sense that you're the kind of person that will come and change things that you're trying to take them back, they will not support you. So definitely, no matter how they say bad Trump is, no matter how they say he's been misunderstood somehow, people are there to support him as well. You always have followers anyhow. That's the thing. So I think basically I'm not over there, but I watch the news and see what is going on there. So it's left for them to pick who the right person to lead them will be. Is it Joe Biden? Is it Trump? Only time will tell. We're weeks away from the election.
All right. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Stanley. Oh, no. So we already have our guest in the studio. He was caught up in traffic. As always, things have been pretty much bad for some weeks, not days. So as we're talking about, thank you again for being here and sharing part of your evening with me. Let me just go straight to our present governor, Governor Sanwo-olu, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-olu, who has assured that those responsible for the Lekki shootings will be punished. What kind of justice should we envisage in a criminal situation like this?
The NSAS protest, particularly in Lagos, and the aftermath, the Lekki, shooting and other, incidences of violence that we witnessed across the states during that period. From my own perspective and from every moral angle, going by the revelations of the last few days, may not even put Governor Sanwo-olu in a position qualified enough to judge in this case, because it may get to a point that even the governor himself may have questions to answer as far as the incidences, of the last few days are concerned. Only yesterday, the Nigerian Army 81 Division here came out with a statement, trying to exonerate the military from their involvement, in the Lekki incident. And one of the things that that statement made us to know was the role of the Lagos state government in inviting the military, to Lekki toll gate. And you must understand that one of the questions that are bound to be answered by the panel, the judicial panel, is who actually invited the military to a civil protest. So that is why I said, no matter the level of assurance that the governor may be giving, we may not, of course, consider him to be qualified enough to be a judge in this case. But I'm believing that the government of Nigeria will be sincere enough, to take up certain role, especially as regards the probe, of this incident. You must remember that we have had incidences in the past where, similar judicial commissions are inaugurated and nothing ever came out of their report. Sometimes, ago we had an incident involving the same Nigerian military with members of this, Shiite sect, in Zaria and Kaduna State, and a lot of people were killed. The government came up with the judicial panel. The panel came up with recommendations, indicted some people, but to date, no single person is in court on the basis of the recommendation of this panel. And why is it like this? When this panel eventually comes to see it, and it has to do with indictment of police officers or people in the military, then the bureaucracy of who has power to prosecute, these persons, start arising. So I think the federal government must show some sense of, importance to what has happened in Lekki. Not only in Lekki, Lekki should be the gateway for us to open questions around other incidences that happened during the NSAS protest. you should be aware that people were killed in Abuja also. You should be aware that a lot of people had their properties damaged in Abuja and some other parts of the country. So I think it must be a holistic probe.
So that is part of the accountability and transparency.
Yes.
So speaking about accountability, I know the Nigerian Army head, Lieutenant General
Tukur,
dead activists and legal powers to take him to International Criminal Court. According to him, I think I saw that ICC. What is your take on this? On this, and how do you think transparency and accountability can be shown from the part of Nigerian military?
Well, I think what the world expects and what we expect as Nigerians, just like you said, is transparency. The leadership of the military, the police, and every other authorities that are involved in this circumstance should show transparency and willingness to cooperate with government and stakeholders that are engaged and are involved in the probe. I think it does not speak well for us as a nation, to hear such statements like daring whoever want to take the army to the ICC or whatever, basically because you think you are above, the law or whatever. I think it tells a lot about how much more we respect even our own laws and the rule of law here in the democracy when we speak in such manner, before the international community. We must always understand that no country can operate as an island. Nigeria is not an island, and we are signatories to a lot of conventions, that dictated, what can happen when issues of human rights, rule of law, even if it happened in your bedroom. There are international conventions that guide some of these issues, and Nigeria is a signatory to some of these conventions, and it becomes, an act of violation to such conventions and protocols that we have been part of when we begin to disregard whatever, organizations like the ICC or, the Amnesty International or the United Nations or whatever as the case may want to do, or whatever happens in our country. It's a very terrible signal, and we should not be sending such signal to the world.
All right. Thank you, Femi Lawson. Your feedback are descriptive of the system. And I want to say again, thank you for